What is going on, everybody? Happy Monday, and welcome to another edition of the weekly Astro Forecast here in the Astro Room on YouTube. All right, I am your favorite host and your favorite astrologer, Mel of Divine Feminine Works, where I help people unlock their divinity and discover their magic. So if you are new to the channel, welcome. And as always, if you are returning, welcome back. Speaking of the channel, this channel is everything tarot, astrology, spirituality, and manifestation. So if those are the things you like, if those are the things you love, if those are the things you want to learn more about, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell so you always be notified when I come out with new content. All right, my loves, welcome to another edition of the weekly Astro Forecast for the week of April 10th through April 16th, 2023. All right, so another week, another forecast. So Aries season is definitely in full force. We're actually sort of getting to the tail end of Aries season because I believe it is next week. The sun is going to be making her way, or his way, I should say, into the sign of Taurus. So soak up all that Aries energy while you can. I say that because Aries energy it has a very specific energy signature, all right? And if you want to know more about Aries, everything having to do with Aries, especially as it relates to your natal chart, check out my latest video. I just dropped it on Friday. It's called All About Aries, all right? And I'll definitely leave the link to that in the description box below. But again, I say soak up all that Aries energy because there is a very specific need for Aries energy. As I mentioned in that video, a lot of it is, you have to have the motivation. You have to have that fire to start things. Aries has a lot to do with anger, though. And I think that many of us sort of associate Aries with fighter, warrior, angry, fist fight type of things. You know what I mean? And there is a place for that. There is a place for anger. I think that especially, and I'm about to go on a little rant right now, all right, because this is something that sort of came up for me today, and it's something that I think is relevant for all of us. When you're on this spiritual path, when you're on this spiritual journey and you meet other people, there's this element of love and light, right? And of course, love and light, right? Like love is the highest frequency of all, right? But everything cannot always be love and light. If everything was love and light, the world would be imbalanced, okay? There is a place for anger. There is a place for explosion, right? And I feel like the message is simple. Exercise your throat chakra. If you are angry about something, don't feel like you can't defend yourself. Don't feel like you can't respond back in a way that may be viewed as angry or as harsh. Like if someone comes to you and they want smoke, give them smoke. Like real talk. I say this because a lot of times on this journey, people will say, oh, if someone says something to you, disrespects you, criticizes you unnecessarily, there's this sort of conditioning that, oh, don't stoop to their level. You don't want to match people's energy. And there is truth to that. Like you definitely don't want to match people's energy, but you also can't let people play in your face either. And you can't let people disrespect you. And so I say soak up this Aries energy because if you feel disrespected, if someone is like trying to pop off with you or whatever, understand two things. Understand that if you feel anger, you have a right to express it in a healthy sort of way, of course. And number two, sometimes if someone comes at you like real sideways or whatever, it has a lot more to say about them than it does about you. So you might want to ask them why they're triggered, why what you're doing affects them in the way that it does, etc. But Aries energy encourages all of us to not only be passionate and start things, but also to have a healthy relationship with anger, have a healthy relationship with harshness, with competition, all of the things that Aries is known for. There are definitely healthy ways to express it. And don't let anyone on this journey or anyone try to condition you into thinking that you shouldn't be angry. You should turn the other cheek, right? Even Jesus flipped the table, right? Real housewife style. Jesus flipped the table when he got angry because we are human. Anger is a natural human emotion, and there is a place for it. This is not to say that you go and start shit with other people, because Aries energy has a lot to do with that too. Like Aries is very defensive. However, that explosive Aries energy can also start things. You may find that people are coming to you, like I said, one in the smoke, right? Or they come to you they come to you real sideways, or they want to blow up on you or whatever. Like there's a lot of that going around too right now because of this Aries energy. But again, I say that to say, exercise your throat chakra. If someone disrespects you, there's no need for you to be like, oh, well, no, I should, love and light. I should send them prayers. I'm not saying you shouldn't send them prayers. But if you need to give them a good tongue lashing before you send them that prayer, then do that. And there's nothing wrong with that. All right. So I had to go on that little diatribe, and hopefully that message got to the right person or the right people. All right. So before I get into anything further, of course, announcements and housekeeping. So if you are joining me here in the live this evening, hello. Thank you so much for joining. Feel free to say hi on your way in and hit that like button. Okay. I personally believe that obviously, if you've watched any of my lives before, this is my purpose. I am living in my purpose right now. Part of my purpose is to disseminate useful information for the ascension of the collective. That is why I'm here. And so I'm not here because I want to be validated or because I want to look cute or because I like how I sound, even though I do like how I sound. Not even going to front about that. But if you find this helpful, if you find this useful, please share this, because this is information we could all use, right? Knowing the astrology, especially the current astrology, is like knowing the weather report, right? Wouldn't you want to know if it's going to rain so you can bring an umbrella? Or if it's going to snow for you to cancel your event or maybe wherever you're going or meeting? Like, it helps you understand what's going on now. And a lot of the videos I drop on a weekly basis, that astrology is to help you understand yourself. Okay, so I feel like my content is super valuable, and I would love it if you would share it with anybody, because I feel like anybody can seriously benefit from this information. All right, so that's my little diatribe for tonight. All right. And if you find this information helpful and you're feeling a little generous and would like to buy me a coffee or send me a little cash app, those links are going to be in the description box below. All right. I definitely appreciate it more than you know. All right. So like I said, if you are here in the live, and I see quite a few of you here, thank you so much for joining. Let's see who we got in here. So we've got Ramel, as always. Thank you. Linda, Philip Boone. We have Abdelraham. I'm sorry. Not only can I not see, but apparently I can't pronounce things either. But hello, thank you for joining. We've got Patricia Jean in the house. I love you guys. Thank you so much for joining this live. All right. And if you're watching this on the replay, feel free to express your love. If you so choose, share this message, leave a tip, hit that like button, please and thank you. I definitely appreciate you guys. All right. Second thing, the April monthlies are rolling out. I've already done Aries and Cancer. Everything else is going to be uploaded by the end of this week. So hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you'll be notified when those videos drop. If you are interested in getting your weekly horoscope, you'll definitely want to text ZODIAC. Oh, whoa, what happened to it? Oh, there we go. You want to text ZODIAC to the number 855-826-5544. It's my text service where I just text you a quick and dirty weekly horoscope for the week, and that's texted every Monday morning. People seem to really like it. So if you'd like to subscribe, again, that information will be in the description box below. And finally, if you are new to astrology, or even if you are not new to astrology, but you feel like you need a refresher, I created this thing called the Astrology Basics Cheat Sheet, where I give you the quick and dirty on everything that you need to know to start studying astrology. Basically, the 4 pillars of astrology, which are the planets, the houses, the zodiac signs, and the aspects. Okay, so it's an 11-page PDF document that gives you a quick summary of everything you need to everything you need to know regarding these things so that you can start committing them to memory. Because regardless of what anyone tells you, astrology is indeed a science. And like any science, it requires a good deal of study. So this cheat sheet is basically here to help you embark upon learning astrology. All right. And if you are interested, the link to that will be in the description box below. All right, my loves. So let's get into this week. I think I've talked enough now about random things. Let's get into this week. And well, first, let me look at these comments because I see you guys have commented. Sorry, you see me looking to the side. That's where my computer is, and I really can like barely see. Thank you, Linda. I really like this comment. Thank you very, very much. I really appreciate that. All right. Okay. So someone actually has Venus in Gemini in their natal chart. All right. So we're actually going to get to that tonight. That's actually going to be one of the major transits going on this week, which should be an interesting one. Venus in Gemini is definitely a very specific kind of energy, right? But it lends itself to a lot of socializing. A lot can be done with Venus in Gemini, all right? So you are actually about to experience your Venus return, which is always very good. Let me see. Okay, Linda, I hear you. Yes, I definitely understand. All right. So like I alluded to before, Venus is moving into Gemini this week. And so Venus has been hanging out in her home sign or one of her home signs of Taurus this week. So if you've been feeling like you've really been paying attention to how you look, if money matters have been a real thing for you, if, luxury, comfort, all of those Venusian type things have been a thing for you over the last couple of weeks, that is not a coincidence because, again, Venus was in her home sign of Taurus. And now with Venus moving into Gemini, it is going to spark a lot of people's curiosity, okay? Now, let's say that while Venus was in Taurus, you were like, okay, this is really a great time for me to get my money in order. I really want to start investing. I really want to start saving, okay? It's sort of like Venus in Taurus was a great time to set intentions with respect to your finances or with respect to assets, right? And what I love, like the alley-oop when it comes to Venus going into Gemini is like now Venus in Gemini is going to allow you to start learning the specific knowledge and the specific skills related to those financial intentions. So like I said before, the example is you want to invest money. Venus in Gemini is great for learning about different investment vehicles. It's great for learning about crypto. It's great for learning anything having to do with finance. Is great to learn when it comes to Venus in Gemini. So it's almost like, the universe has a way of providing the pathway for us. Like I said, Venus in Taurus, great time to set the intention because Taurus is very grounded. It's very practical. It's where you would literally root things, right? And then the next step is learning about how to make those things come to fruition, learning the specific knowledge and the specific skills in order to figure out, okay, how do I invest in crypto? How do I start a savings plan for my kids, right? Like this is where you actually learn these things. So it's great. I feel like it's going to spark people's curiosity. All right. And apart from that, there isn't too much going on this week. However, I feel like the running theme this week is going to be Venusian things because Venus is not only changing signs, but she's making different aspects to different planets. So relationships, money, value, fairness. These are the themes that are going to be playing out this week, okay? And of course, it all depends on where it's going down in your natal chart, right? Like it's not to say that they're going to play out exactly like, okay, my romantic relationship is on the chopping block this week, or, money is going to come into the fold this week. It can turn out in different ways. Again, it all depends on your natal chart, but the underlying theme, the undercurrent of what's going on this week has a lot to do with relationships and money. Now, the thing is, if you listened to last week's weekly astro forecast, I talked a lot about healing because midweek, the sun was conjunct Chiron in Aries. So many of us were triggered with respect to things related to self esteem, self worth, all of those things. And if you want to know more about that, check out last week's live where I discussed that in full detail. Okay. But this week, although the Sun and Chiron are not an exact conjunction, they're still within conjunction range. So this means that with the undercurrent of finances and relationships and things that we value sort of playing out this week, many of us are going to be very cognizant of any wounds or any trauma that we have related to those things because the Sun within conjunction range to Chiron, it's like shining a flashlight or a spotlight on those emotional wounds and traumas. All right. And so if you find that issues related to relationships or money are playing out, especially issues you've had issues with, or themes or wounds that you just haven't been able to shake, like a lot of that may come up again this week. Right. And of course, things come up so that we can deal with them. So, of course, the recommendation is that you don't just ignore it or sweep it under the rug. I think that it really allows you to address things, process them, and release them. I remember what I said about Chiron. Chiron is really about in healing yourself, you provide the blueprint for healing for others. I heal myself, which in turn allows you to help heal yourself. And then before you know it, it's a chain reaction, or at least theoretically it should be, right? But healing yourself does a lot more. It benefits a lot more than just you. All right. So that's definitely the flavor of what is going on this week. All right. So let's take a look at the highlights and see what we've got going on. All right. So first up, we have what I like to call social butterfly, and this is Venus in Gemini. So apart from just learning specific skills and knowledge as it relates to finances or maybe even relationships, it's going to spark your curiosity. It's also a great Venus transit for socializing. So if you are, and it really gives friend vibes. This isn't like socializing for the sake of getting into a relationship, or to a certain extent, it's business partnerships and networking as well. But by and large, this Venus and Gemini energy really gives like friend zone kind of vibes. So it will behoove you to get out there, especially if you're looking for friends, especially if you're looking for people that, you know, you can relate to. It's just great for socializing. All right. And then this is also going to foster this energy of having lots of ideas concerning money and relationships or whatever. Like I said before, it's really about learning about these things. And one of the best way to learn about things is from others. Gemini energy really lends itself to like taking courses, workshops, specific based knowledge, things like that. And so with Venus in Gemini, obviously your curiosity may be sparked with respect to these things. And so you may find that you're taking a course on finance, or taking a course on, you know, relationship development or whatever. So it definitely lends itself to that. So you might even see, like, what's interesting about the astrology is that it's always directly reflected via social media, I find. So if you find that your feed has a lot more courses, workshops, get this ebook, you know, those kind of things, especially related to Venusian things, I wouldn't be surprised if you see that, because I feel like the algorithm sometimes almost directly correlates to the astrology. All right. So definitely an interesting point. The next up, we have what I like to call feeling good, because we've got the Sun conjunct Jupiter. So this is one of the most positive aspects in astrology. All right. And it brings like sunshine. It brings good fortune. It brings confidence. It brings abundance, right? So you're going to want to pay attention to where Aries is in your chart. This is where you're likely to experience some of this feel good, abundant sort of energy. Okay. And then finally, we have what I like to call partnership problems, okay? Because remember, I said that the major player this week is Venus. So Venus making these aspects to these different planets may cause some uncomfortability or may cause some disruption with respect to some of your relationships, okay? So on the one hand, we have this element of intensity with relationships because Venus is going to be making an aspect to Pluto. Venus is also going to be making an aspect to Saturn. So it's going to bring a little bit of isolation, some loneliness, frustration, and stress. Okay, so it's going to be one of those weeks where things might be a little difficult. All right, but remember, nothing lasts forever. And that can be a really good thing sometimes. All right, so let's get into the week and see exactly what we've got going on. So we don't have anything today, but tomorrow we've got Venus moving into Gemini. Venus is going to trine Pluto, and then the sun is going to conjunct Jupiter, as well as the moon moving into the sign of Capricorn. Then on Thursday, we've got the moon in Aquarius. On Friday, we've got Venus square Saturn, and then we close out the week on Saturday with the moon moving into Pisces. All right, so without further ado, let's jump right in. All right, so we're going to kick things off with Venus entering Gemini. All right, and you'll see that at the top left-hand portion of the chart, Venus is at 0 degrees Gemini in that turquoise color. Then we've also got Venus making a trine to Pluto. All right, so Venus is at 0 degrees Gemini, while Pluto is at 0 degrees Aquarius. So both planets are going to be in air signs, which I will explain in a little bit. And then we've got the sun conjunct Jupiter in Aries. Both of those planets will be at 21 degrees Aries. And you'll see that at that mismash, that conjunction, that super conjunction, that stellium in Aries at the top of the chart. And then finally, we have the moon moving into Capricorn. And you'll see that at 0 degrees Capricorn towards the bottom right-hand portion of the chart. All right, so let's get into it. So first and foremost, Venus moving into Gemini. So I pretty much explained what this means, but it's important to know that curiosity is a real big thing with Gemini energy. Gemini is very naturally curious about things and, really wants to learn things, explore things, and understand things on a very logical kind of level, okay? And so Venus in Gemini is this, it's the same. It's being curious about Venusian-like topics, which again, love, money, values, fairness, beauty, aesthetics, all of that stuff, right? But approaching it from a very sort of logical and knowledge-based sort of vantage point, right? This isn't about feeling overly emotional. It's not about, being intense and passionate. It's really more so about being logical and left-brained, okay? And so that's how you're going to attack. Let me not say attack. That is how you are going to approach Venusian-like topics. So when it comes to relationships, let's say while Venus is in Gemini over the next couple of weeks, you happen to meet somebody, right? I wouldn't expect a relationship that forms under this transit to be overly emotional or passionate. I feel like you'll probably vibe with this person on a very intellectual sort of level. It may be a relationship full of a lot of humor, witty banter. It feels very comfortable in a friendly sort of way. Now, of course, it's not to say that this relationship is going to be devoid of passion or anything like that. I feel like the thing that's going to hold it together, at least in the present moment, is going to be very intellectual based. It's going to be very communicative. Again, it's not going to be overly passionate or emotional, right? But that may be a good thing, right? Like I said before, it's about being social, it's about being communicative, and it's about learning from people, which is very important. Much can be gained in terms of knowledge, specifically specific based knowledge with Venus and Gemini, right? It also lends itself to being fickle. So Venus and Gemini, it can be very fickle. So when it comes to relationships, it may be hard to depend on certain people. People may be very mixy. You know how Gemini energy can be, very mixy. And I mean no shade with that. So your relationships, especially any of the relationships that are covered by Gemini, so wherever Gemini is in your chart, this is where you may experience a little bit of fickleness. This is where you may experience people not necessarily being so serious. We all have that friend that when it's time to go out, when it's time to hang out, you plan something, they're like, yeah. And then when it comes down to it, they're like, nah. And then you never see them, like always switching plans, canceling plans. Again, fickleness. So that can definitely be applied to relationships while this transit is in effect. Okay. Like I said, it's not devoid of emotion, but it's sort of Gemini energy, especially Venus in Gemini, doesn't like to get very emotional, likes to keep things surface level. Again, it's very friend zone kind of energy. So it when trying to be vulnerable emotionally during this transit, you may find it difficult. You may just want to keep things surface level. You don't want to dive deep into emotions and intensity and all that. So that may be important, again, especially looking at your chart, seeing where Gemini is, especially if Gemini is in if you have Gemini as your seventh house. This may be a situation where you're trying to solidify a relationship, but it still remains very surface level. Okay, so that's something very much to keep in mind. All right, and that's pretty much it. I feel like Venus in Gemini is great for learning about the things that maybe you set intentions for while Venus was in Taurus. Also great for knowledge, specific knowledge based things, and experiencing a lot of things, because again, Gemini is all about curiosity. Okay, so the next up we have Venus trine Pluto. Okay, so when it comes to the topic of relationships and money, Pluto adds a very heavy, intense element to everything. Now, because both planets are in air signs, Venus is in Gemini, Pluto is in Aquarius, this is all within your mind. So this is really about like thinking about relationships a lot, maybe ruminating over things that happened in the past. Like it can be really intense. Okay. Pluto, the dark side of Pluto is also very possessive. It's obsessive, right? So you may have obsessive thoughts about someone or of a particular relationship. Taking it away from relationships and speaking about money, you could be overly obsessed with making money, saving money. Like it can just turn the volume all the way up when it comes to love and relationships. Okay. Thankfully, because it's a trine, like I said, Venus is going to be trine Pluto. It's not going to be necessarily bad. I think that when we have a transit like this, where we have a trine with Pluto, sometimes it's the universe's way of getting you to think, especially in this case, because both planets are in air signs, getting you to think about things that maybe you've neglected. Maybe you need to be thinking about relationships a lot because you've been avoiding them. Or maybe you need to think about money a lot or be exposed to issues related to money because you need to handle your finances. There's something that you need to address. One of the things you want to keep in mind with Pluto is that it's all about transformation, but you don't have transformation unless you're willing to look at the ugly side of things. So when we're talking about relationships, this may be any issues that you have related to codependency, possessiveness, abandonment issues, right? Like Venus trine Pluto may really have you think about these things on an intense level so that you can finally eradicate them. Same thing with money. Maybe you're not managing your money well. Maybe you haven't checked your credit score in 12 or 15 years. I feel like Pluto trine or Venus trine Pluto is going to bring that intensity to call your attention to some of these things, all right? It's also going to make you, here's the thing. Even though both planets are in air signs, Pluto has an element of feeling to it because of the intensity of its nature. Okay. So I feel like it's almost like being obsessed about something, in this case, Venusian type things, and then feeling the intensity of it. What I like the most about this particular transit is that it sets the stage perfectly for manifestation. I feel like everything can kind of set the stage for manifestation, but this in particular, especially if you're trying to manifest anything having to do with money or relationships. Don't allow yourself to go to too dark of a place, right? Remember I said Pluto Pluto can be very obsessive. The energy can be very obsessive. Don't allow yourself to get on some stalker type shit, okay? Like, we're not talking about that. But if you know that the energy is going to be intense, use that intensity to your advantage, right? Replay what you want to have in your mind. If you're thinking about it all the time anyway, you might as well replay what you want to see happen or what you want the outcome to be, right? So I feel like it's great. It can be really good for understanding where you're at and then thinking about something so that you can get to where you want to be, okay? Just saying. And on a more mundane level, this particular transit is great for like getting luxury items, shopping. Again, because Pluto is very obsessive, if you are looking, like I said before, the example I gave before of trying to invest in Bitcoin, finding out what's going with world finances and stuff like that, I feel like this particular transit is going to be great for researching these things. However, it may have you going down an eternal rabbit hole. Like, that's the energy of Pluto, right? So if you're willing to go down that rabbit hole, this is the perfect time and the perfect sort of circumstances for you to do that. All right. So I feel like the transit can be really put to good use for manifestation and for learning certain things. Okay. And then we have the Sun conjunct Jupiter, which again is one of the most positive aspects in astrology. It gives you an overall feeling of happiness, confidence, abundance. It's sometimes viewed, well, not sometimes, it's mostly viewed as being very fortuitous, very, fortunate. And so use that to your advantage, okay? What I love about anytime you have a positive sun transit is that it revitalizes you, especially when we're talking about confidence. So again, look to see where Aries is in your chart. I feel like this is where you're going to get a boost of confidence. This is where you're going to be feeling good. And by feeling good, it'll probably induce you to take some type of action. Okay. So again, if you feel the urge to do something, especially because you're feeling good about it, I would definitely do it because I feel like nothing but positivity can come from it. Okay. It's also great for expansion. So just like I was talking about the sun, and the sun has a lot to do with our self-confidence and revitalizing us, Jupiter has a lot to do with expansion. Okay. And so this is where you can literally expand yourself, expand your mind, expand your finances. Again, it depends on where Aries is in your chart. If Aries is your second house, that means that you can definitely expand your finances. If Aries is your seventh house, you can expand your relationships. Regardless, Sun conjunct Jupiter is great for personal expansion, personal growth and development, just expansion in general. All right. So I feel like it's a really good transit, which may offset some of the intensity that we may feel with that Venus trine Pluto aspect. But in any event, I feel like tomorrow is going to be a generally good day. All right. Especially if you believe it to be. I know that sounds kind of whatever. But yeah, I feel like the Sun conjunct Jupiter is going to make you feel good. And again, it's great. It's a great energy for moving forward with things. All right. So that's Tuesday. Let's keep it moving. I just realized that I forgot to talk about the moon in Capricorn. But in any event, on Thursday, we've got the moon moving into Aquarius. And you'll see the moon at 0 degrees Aquarius, and it's going to be conjunct Pluto. All right. So before we get into all that, let me briefly talk about the moon in Capricorn, which is also going down tomorrow. So moon in Capricorn. So we are in the waning phase. All right. We just had that full moon in Libra the other day, or last week, I should say. And so now the moon is waning, which means that it's, decreasing in illumination. And this is the time where we banish things, where we get rid of what we no longer need. Okay. Capricorn is very status based. Capricorn is very practical. Capricorn wants to get to the finish line, wants to get to the top of the mountain, right? And I love Capricorn energy because it's success driven. Okay. And so when the waning moon, particularly the waning gibbous moon, because that's the phase of the moon that the moon will be in when it's in Capricorn, it's all about getting rid of the things that won't allow you to get to the top or get to the finish line, right? I love this energy because it forces, let me not say force, it allows you to keep your eyes on the prize. This isn't necessarily about looking at things granularly. It's like, all right, I am at point A, I want to get to point B. Let me get rid of everything that's in my way between these 2 points because I want to succeed. So it's great for not just that, but also being structured and disciplined. Because Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, we understand when the moon is in Capricorn, we understand that things take time, that things take work, and that things take consistency and discipline. And so when you realize what's standing in your way and you realize, all right, I want to get from here to there, you're driven and motivated to do what you need to do. It's like putting your nose to the grindstone and really getting to work. Okay. And so I love this for getting organized, for getting structured, and for getting practical about what's really in your way. Many times it is us that is in our own way. And we don't realize it. And what I like about the moon in Capricorn probably the most is that it allows you to see this rather objectively and practically and from a logical standpoint. You're not going to be overly emotional because Capricorn energy is just not very emotional, right? At least when it comes to some things. But it really allows you to take a cold, hard look at your reality and figure out what is really standing between where I am and where I want to be. And it's important that you take a sobering look at your situation. And it's not to say that you're going to dwell in it, but it's going to allow you to be like, you know what? I really want to get further in my business. I really want to be able to quit my job, and I really want to do this, be in business for myself, but I'm not disciplined enough. I am not willing to work 14 hours a day on my own stuff, on my own business, because that's just too much. I'm not willing to put in the money to do this because I just don't want to. Like, that is taking a sobering look at your circumstances. And then once you do that, it's like, all right, now that I've identified that, what can I do? I still want to own my own business, but I realize that I'm not disciplined enough to do that right now. What do I need to do in order to still own my own business, in order to still get to that end goal? Well, you got to be more disciplined. You got to put yourself on a schedule. You have to structure yourself because, and this is a side note, when you own your own business, at first, the feeling is like intoxicating, right? Because you don't have anyone to answer to. You have a whole day in front of you that you can do whatever you want. And then the problem is that you can do whatever you want. Out of 8 hours, you spend 4 hours watching YouTube. Right? And there's no one to reprimand you. There's no one to check you, especially in the early phases of entrepreneurship, because you don't have anyone who's really depending on you or anything like that. You may not even have accountability at that point. But you soon learn that you need to provide yourself with some sort of structure. And the beauty is the structure doesn't have to look like a 9 to 5. You may be someone who works best at night. So maybe you do all your work overnight. Doesn't matter. Whatever works for you is what works for you. But unless you structure yourself, your bank account is going to be looking real dry. You're not going to have any leads. You're not going to have anyone who's going to want to buy your products or services because you're not consistent. You don't show up regularly. You don't adhere to timelines because you haven't structured yourself. So I say all of this to say, with the waning gibbous moon in Capricorn, structure is your best friend. Keep your eyes on the prize and figure out what obstacles are standing in your way and do what actually needs to be done to remove them. All right. And then we move on to the moon in Aquarius. And one of the energy shifts in astrology that I really like is when any planet goes from Capricorn to Aquarius. Because Capricorn and Aquarius are ruled by the same planet, which is Saturn. And so Saturn in Capricorn is quite different from Saturn in Aquarius. Saturn in Capricorn is the harsh side of Capricorn, the harsh side of Saturn. It's where we experience obstacles, challenges, delays, the school of hard knocks, all of that stuff. But Saturn, as expressed in Aquarius, is very freeing. Because you've done the work, because you've laid the groundwork in Capricorn, Aquarius allows you to create a new structure, a personal structure, right? It's almost like the example I gave before. You have a 9 to 5. You are adhering to someone else's structure, someone else's schedule, someone else's organization, right? But then when you go out on your own and you have your own business, you're kind of experiencing Saturn like Aquarius. It's that freedom. It's me not being beholden to someone else's organization. However, I need to organize myself. And that's exactly what the moon in Aquarius allows us to do. So moon in Aquarius, it's about creating something new. It's about setting your own structure, right? It's great for anything that's intellectual. So it's great for thinking about a master plan. It's great for planning for the future, right? But and still keeping your eyes on the prize. However, the prize is your personal autonomy, right? Your personal sovereignty. And how can I structure myself to achieve that goal, right? So there's a certain element of rebelliousness, a certain element of wanting to break out the mold whenever you have planets in Aquarius. And with the moon in Aquarius, when it comes to our emotions, we don't want to be tied down to the tried and true. This may be a time for us to discover new things, okay? Now, while the moon is in Aquarius, it's going to be in the last quarter phase. And this is the phase that's in between the full moon and the upcoming new moon, okay? This is the time when you reevaluate the intentions that you had set back at the last new moon or any new moon prior, right? So remember I said Aquarius is great for thinking of a master plan. Part of having a master plan is that you don't just set it and forget it. You revisit it, you recalibrate it. And whenever we're in the last quarter phase, it allows you to be like, listen, at the last new moon, I wanted to manifest such and such, right? Am I on track to that? Like, is that actually happening or have I just forgotten about it? Like, it allows you to see what's going on and again, recalibrate so you can get back on track, okay? It's also a time, the last quarter phase is also a time where you take responsibility for your shortcomings, for your mistakes, but also for your accomplishments. So it's a time where, again, you're sort of reevaluating things. And with the moon in Aquarius being very intellectual, this is a time to really think about things. So this may be a time that you want to journal, you may want to script, do whatever, but it's like, all right, in terms of manifesting XYZ, what have I done? What didn't I do? What should I have done? What am I proud of myself for doing, right? Great opportunity for that. All right, so that's pretty much the moon in Aquarius. Let's keep it moving. All right, so then on Friday, we've got Venus at 4 degrees Gemini that is going to be square to Saturn, which is at 4 degrees Pisces. Okay, so let's talk about it. So this is going to be a transit that may not feel good. It may provide stress. It may provide obstacles, challenges, and delays to Venusian type things. Okay. So when it comes to money, when it comes to relationships, things may be a little stressful. Things may be a little delayed. Things may not be going in the way that you had hoped for them to go. Okay. Now, one of the things, especially I'm talking about relationships, one of the things that you'll want to do, especially if you're experiencing imbalance in your relationship or things are just kind of hard or frustrating, getting yourself right is going to be a lot better than trying to fix whatever is between you and your partner or you and your counterpart, meaning that Saturn is going to allow you to take a cold, hard look at yourself. And you know me, whenever I talk about relationships, I always tell you that relationships are a reflection of you. So it doesn't make sense if you're having problems in your relationship to be to your partner or your counterpart. It's your fault. You're doing this. I don't like that you do. It's really a time for you to be like, well, what am I bringing to the table? How am I showing up? How do I feel about myself? How am I feeling about myself such that this person is reflecting whatever it is back to me? So may require you to take a cold, hard look at yourself. And so, especially if you're having frustration, if things are not going that well, really sort of hanging back a little bit and isolating yourself and kind of getting yourself right is definitely going to be the way to go with that. All right. In terms of money, this may be delays in getting paid. Money may be tight. You may have to really stick to a budget. This isn't a time for overspending or frivolous shopping because it will come back to bite you in the ass. All right. So definitely over the weekend, try your best not to be too, I want to say flippant, but that's not the word I really want to use. Try not to be so free with your spending. Okay. Now, also, one of the characteristics of Saturn is that it relates to our responsibilities. And so this particular transit may highlight any responsibilities that you have to others, okay? And this may be a time where you feel kind of bogged down or shackled to some of your relationships. And it's sort of a reminder that relationships just aren't always just about love or feelings. Certain responsibilities come with relationships. And above all else with this particular transit, you don't want to skip out on your responsibilities. Don't ignore them, especially if you have people that truly depend on you. Okay, like children, like family members. This isn't the time to really ignore your responsibilities. Okay. Those closest to you, if they need you, show up for them, even if it doesn't necessarily feel the best, right? Yes, that is all I will say about that. This may also be a transit where people lean on you for emotional support. Okay, like I feel like the classic sort of way that this could play out, especially because Saturn is in Pisces and Venus is in Gemini. I feel like this is people like talking your ear off, like really wanting to vent, really wanting to talk, really wanting to express themselves verbally. Okay. And these are probably people that you're close to. These are probably people that you love. That may or may not be your responsibility. So you'll want to use your discernment as to whether you should entertain this or not. But you may find that people lean on you to express how they feel at this point in time. All right. So not the best feeling transit, but again, every day cannot be roses and rainbows. And there's always a specific reason for things. There's always a reason for things that we may not understand or even know in the moment. But iron sharpens iron. Like I say that a lot. And sometimes the worst situations in life, the times where we don't feel the best, the times when it's really hard to show up is when we build ourselves up, is when we build character, is when we get the things that we need. It's when we become the people that we ultimately want to be. Okay. So this particular transit, it just may show you where you have to work on yourself when it comes to relationships, or maybe where you have to work on yourself when it comes to money. All right. Or maybe it's just showing you what your responsibilities are and if you still want to continue those responsibilities. Remember, everything, as cliche as it sounds, everything happens for a reason. You just have to figure out what that reason is for you. Okay. So that's Friday. Let's move on to Saturday. All right, so we close out the week on Saturday with the moon moving into Pisces, and you will see that the moon is at 0 degrees Pisces, and it will be in conjunction range with Saturn. Okay, so this kind of builds on what I was just talking about before. Not necessarily feeling the best, right? And then you've got the moon in Pisces that may kind of exacerbate that. So Saturn in Pisces may really be stirring up a lot of things like fears, insecurities, anything that can sort of stand in the way, anything that is an obstacle, especially as it pertains to your subconscious. I literally just watched a YouTube video earlier about someone that was talking about doing a mirror technique when it comes to manifesting, and how you sort of talk into the mirror about things that are bothering you, anything that you would not necessarily tell or speak to anybody else, you bring it up to yourself in the mirror, okay? And it sort of is a way to help you work out some of those subconscious issues that may be standing in the way of you having what it is that you want, or having what it is that you want to achieve. And so I feel like a lot of this transit of the moon, it really may be bringing up a lot of those subconscious obstacles, okay? Especially because the moon is in the waning phase. Remember I said the waning phase is all about banishing. It's all about getting rid of what no longer serves you, right? And so this is a time when a lot of the things of your subconscious, a lot of the things that are standing in your way, I feel like they're going to come and slap you in the face. And it's going to make you feel a certain type of way. Not only is Pisces an emotional sign, it's a water sign, but we're also talking about the moon, which is also about emotion. So I feel like the weekend may be heavily emotional. It could be very triggering because you've got things from the past, because Saturn also covers karma. It covers the past. It covers time. Things from the past are coming back up, and it can really make you feel some kind of way, right? That Pisces energy is going to have you wanting to escape, whether it's escape via some sort of addictive behavior. It could just be escaping via mundane shit, like sweeping things under the rug. It can be escaping via bad habits. It may really have you not wanting to face reality. And escape in a healthy way can be good, right? Because if things get too intense, maybe you want to just pop a movie on and try to forget your troubles for a bit, or maybe even hang out with friends and do some mindless behavior for a while, right? But it's when you try to numb yourself to what is coming up that it becomes a problem. And so I feel like this is one of those things where you're definitely going to want to at least try to face what's coming up and try to be real about it. That Saturn in Pisces is going to have you being real about your emotions, real about the things that you've been through, no matter how emotionally triggering they are. So a lot of personal development work can be done with this moon in Pisces, but it may not feel that good. And one of the best ways to escape, I think, in a healthy way is to get creative, because Pisces is a water sign, very creative. Moon in Pisces, I feel like we derive a lot of our emotional fulfillment from doing things that are creative. So whether it's singing, dancing, making movies, making videos, whether it's art, whether it's drama, it's a great and healthy way to escape perhaps some of the intensity and the realness that you may be feeling under this particular transit, okay? Now, the moon is going to be in the waning crescent phase, and this is all about surrender and reflection. The biggest thing about Pisces energy is that it's all about surrender. It's about surrender to something greater than yourself. And so allow whatever comes up, allow. This is not contrary to what I said in the beginning of the live. If someone comes for you, if someone really tries to pop off at you, like, defend yourself. I'm not saying allow the bullshit, but allow yourself to feel whatever you're feeling. That may be anger, right? It may be you feeling angry. It may be you feeling like you want to fight. Allow it. Allow yourself to feel what you're going to feel. Reflect on it, and then try your best to release it. Okay? And that's how we end the week. Kind of interesting, no? I feel like there's a lot of good stuff going on, a lot of stuff that may not feel the best, but it's ultimately for our highest good, as most things are. All right, so now that we've gotten the astrology out of the way, of course, I'm going to pull cards for us for a message from Spirit for the week. I do this by sign, but as I always say, whatever message resonates with you, take it, okay? It could be sun, moon, rising, Venus, Jupiter, whatever. As long as it resonates with you, it resonates. All right. So, of course, we start off with Aries. All right, Aries, we've got the Eight of Wands. So you have your sights set on something. You see how it's like she is throwing a javelin? Like you have your sights set on something and you are willing to take action in a very major way. Okay. You are super passionate about something and you just want to put forth all of your energy and all of your might into this. Okay. I'm hearing don't put all of your eggs in one basket though. And that's not to say it's not like I'm throwing shade on whatever it is that you want, but if you put your energy into one thing solely, it's like you're draining your battery on that one thing. And maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't. But the message is clear. Do not put all of your eggs in one basket. It's not to say don't pursue something that you're passionate about, but this may not be the time to go full force on something. You may want to test the waters rather than just jumping in head first and blindfolded. You may just want to dip your toe in and see how the water is, see what the temperature is like, and then proceed to immerse yourself. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. All right. Next up, we've got Taurus. Let's see what we've got for Taurus. Taurus, we've got 10 of Swords. Okay, so the good news is that the worst is over. And I want to say that you are envisioning something a lot worse than what it is. It's almost like your fear is really getting to you, meaning that you think that the situation either is going to turn out like this or turned out like this. And Spirit is like, no, look at this little butterfly right here. It's like amidst this pain, right? And you see that she's bleeding and she's like on the floor. Amidst this misery, there's this, sorry, I'm looking at it the wrong way. Amidst this misery is this butterfly. So things are better than what you think they are, or the outcome is going to be better than what you think it is. Don't let your fear get the best of you. Don't psych yourself out thinking that if you pursue this or do this or go after this or whatever, that it's going to turn out like this. Things are going to be a lot better than you perceive them to be. Okay. Next up, we've got Gemini. Let's see what we've got for Gemini. All right, Gemini, we've got the Three of Cups. All right. So with Venus heading into your sign, I feel like you guys are going to be extra social. I see a lot more going out. I see a lot more time with friends. I see a lot more brunches with bottomless mimosas. I see just hanging out, chilling. I also see reasons for celebration. So some of you may be celebrating. I'm hearing birthday. It's not your season yet. So this may be celebrating someone else's birthday. This may just be celebrating life, right? Side note, we don't do that enough. Like, you don't always need a reason for a celebration. The fact that you're here, that you woke up today is plenty reason to celebrate, right? And I feel like Gemini, you are tapping into this energy and you're also feeling very appreciative. There's something in your life that you appreciate a lot and you're celebrating it this week, whether it's with others or by yourself. But I feel like celebration, socializing, and appreciation is what's going on for you this week. All right, next up, we've got Cancer. So let's see what we've got for Cancer. All right, Cancer, we've got the Devil. Okay, so don't get scared. This isn't like the literal devil, right? There's an unhealthy attachment that you have. And I feel like there's a part of you that's you're not necessarily in touch with reality, meaning that you don't necessarily realize that this attachment isn't the best for you. Like certain things will come up and you'll be like, no, that didn't really happen. Or no, or you try to explain away whatever happened. And I feel like every time something comes up, it's like Spirit is like, I don't think this person is for you. Or I don't think you should be in, not I don't think you should be in this relationship, but I don't think the way things are going are right for you. But you're just like, no, I don't think so. That's not what I saw or whatever. Spirit's only going to get louder and louder. And if Spirit is getting louder, that means that the attachment is getting deeper. Those chains are getting tighter. So please be mindful of whoever you're dealing with. If there have been red flags that you are ignoring, those red flags mean something. They are important. They are signaling to you that this attachment is not necessarily of your highest good. Now, ultimately, you have free will, so you can do whatever you want. You could stay or go or change things, whatever, right? But the signs are only going to get louder if you keep ignoring them. Okay. That was Cancer. So now let's go to Leo. Let's see what we have for Leo. All right, Leo, you have the same card as Gemini. You've got the Three of Cups. So maybe you're celebrating with Gemini. I just see you guys very much enmeshed in groups this week. And almost like I see you guys like leading a group of people, an association of some sort. I feel like you being your natural Leo self as it pertains to a group of people. So I feel like many of you are going to be taking a leading position, and this doesn't necessarily have to be something serious, right? This could just be like you decide where the group goes for drinks, or you decide something, right? But I see you sort of taking some sort of leadership role when it comes to a group of friends or a celebration. Maybe you are planning a party, or you're planning an outing for you and your friends or a group of people. But again, I see you taking sort of a leadership position when it comes to those things. All right. Next up, we've got Virgo. Let's see what we have. For Virgo. I'm not inclined to take the one that fell on the floor. So this one came out, 7 of Wands. Virgo, pay them no mind. These wands are like naysayers, right? Especially if you're doing something that you love. If you're doing something that you love and you have people's unwarranted opinions, people like, oh, I don't really like that, or people's like bullshit ass suggestions, pay them no mind. Keep following your heart. Keep doing you. Now, it's different if you're following your heart and you are hurting people, or if you're doing something for people and it's not necessarily benefiting them in the way that you think it is. Then it's time to course correct. But the presence of this card lets me know that you doing you just may be annoying some people, or it may be triggering some people, which is obviously not your problem. Keep following your heart, keep doing what you're doing, and you will be just fine. All right. Next up, we've got Libra. Let's see what we've got for Libra. All right, Libra, we've got the 4 of Cups. All right. So this is about, I'm hearing powering down. Now, typically the 4 of Cups represents apathy. It represents sort of being indifferent about things. But I feel like if you have, and this is not necessarily the meaning of this card, but this is what I'm getting. If you have a lot of options, if you've got a lot going on, power down so that you can get clear on the one thing that makes sense for you, or the one thing that you should be doing right now. Meditation will definitely benefit you. I also feel like you don't even have to do meditation like sitting in a particular position, listening to guidance. It's not even about that. Sometimes you just really need to and this is what they're saying to me, so I'm going to repeat it. Sometimes you really just need to shut the fuck up and just be quiet and listen, okay? They're not trying to be mean, but sometimes you need to just quiet down, power down, so you can really get clear on what it is that you want or what it is that you need at this time. And if it has to do with what you need, it will come to you. Whether it comes to you like in a meditative state, whether it comes to you in a dream, or whether someone physically brings it to you, it will come to you. You just have to get present and grounded right now. Okay. All right. That was Libra. So now we're moving on to Scorpio. Let's see what we've got for Scorpio. Scorpio, you guys are reluctant about something. Yeah, you don't even want to give me a card right now. Like, you guys are reluctant about something. Like, there's something that you are tight-lipped about, that you are protecting, that you are like, you're not trying to let anyone mess with this thing, whatever it is. You are not trying to let anyone. Okay, we finally got one. Look at this. We've got the 2 of Swords. Like, this is you. Like, You are not trying to hear what anybody else has to say. Like you are, it's like you're protecting whatever this thing is, like this, like with two swords. Like you are, it may be an idea, it may be a plan that you have, and you are just being very tight-lipped about it. It may have to do with work, it may have to do with your career, it may have to do with something that you want to advance yourself with, but you don't want anyone else stirring the pot. So you're like, you're being your Scorpio self, in that you're being very mysterious. Some people may try to guess, especially people that are close to you. They may try to guess, they may try to inquire, they may try to poke around and be like, what is it that you're doing? I see you doing this, or I see you making this, and you're just like, yeah, it's none of your business. But I don't even think you're being that direct. I think you are, I'm hearing you're leading people down the wrong path. Like you may even be deceiving people in a way. And I'm getting, it's not a bad thing. It's like telling like a white lie so that people don't mess up what you've got going. And Spirit is like, it's okay to do that. I mean, don't do anything that's fraudulent, completely deceptive, right? But if you have something that you're trying to nurture, if you have something that you're trying to get off the ground and you don't want too many hands in the pot, perfectly fine. Do what you got to do to protect it. Right? So that, you can grow it or develop it how you want to. Okay. Next up, we've got Sagittarius. Let's see what we've got for Sagittarius. Okay, Sag, we've got the Sun. So you are garnering a lot of attention this week. Okay. And don't let it go to your head, because as much attention as you're garnering, it has the ability to have you being very egotistical. Now, of course, when we're shining bright, it may be throwing shade on some other people, right? Some people may be in our shadow and they can be kind of grumpy about that, right? But always approach it from a place of love. Don't let your ego get in the way. Don't dim your light for anybody. Like Spirit is not saying that. But also just don't be a dick about it, okay? Like Spirit is like, just don't be a dick about it. Like shine bright, do you. And even if people are feeling some kind of way, shine anyway, but approach them with compassion and with love, okay? Short, sweet, and to the point. Next up, we've got Capricorn. All right, Capricorn, let's see what we got for you for this week. Oh, Capricorn, Capricorn, I feel like you're gearing up for a fight. You perceive a situation to be such that you have to put on your boxing gloves. Like you are like, okay, I feel like the situation is going to go this way and I'm going to have to fight my way through it. And Spirit is like, why do you think that? Why do you automatically perceive the situation to be combative and competitive? And you answer, this is interesting because I'm channeling this without any cards. And your answer to that is, well, because there isn't that much room at the top. The top can only hold one person or two people, and I gotta be that person. And so if I have to fight my way through this, I'm gonna do that. And Spirit is like, I get it, but I don't think that's the best way to approach this. I'm interested to see how this turns out. I'm going to pull a card on this right now. We've got the Nine of Pentacles, okay? Spirit is like, you should be confident, right? Because look at all this yellow, this solar plexus energy. Be confident. And in being confident, it's almost like you don't need to, if you're confident in your abilities, you're not going to care what the next person is doing. This is a phrase that I say all the time. It's like eagles are not concerned with the opinions of chickens. Eagles are so high, they don't even know what chickens are talking about, right? And Spirit is like, that's the energy that you need. First of all, you're going to be successful. Nine of Pentacles, you already are securing the bag or whatever it is, right? But be confident. The fact that you want to enter this with boxing gloves on means that you may not be that confident in what you're doing or what you want to accomplish. So this may be a great week to get your self-concept up, to get your confidence up, because you will reach the finish line, but it doesn't have to be because you beat somebody out. It's just because you had enough confidence to know that you can achieve it. Okay. So next up, we've got Aquarius. Let's see what we got for Aquarius. Okay. We've got the Goddess of Wands. So this is like the Queen of Wands. All right. So there is I'm not getting that this is you. There is a fiery person in your presence who is, I'm hearing like pulling on your energy. Someone may be like monopolizing your time or monopolizing your energy for very selfish reasons for them. Okay. And I get the sense that you are going to feel this pull this week. I get the sense that this is someone that you've been interacting with for a while. It's not like it's someone that you're meeting this week and it all of a sudden happens. I feel like this is someone that you've been interacting with and they are just like siphoning your energy intensely. And they do it with a smile on their face, like almost to the point where they feel like what they're doing is helping you. Okay. I also feel like this person, like, beware of like this person like gaslighting you too. Like even if you say something like, nah, I don't want to do this today, like this person may gaslight you for whatever reason. Okay. So be mindful of someone who is intense. They may be passionate about something and they're just trying to siphon your energy. Maybe you have expertise in something and this person wants to pick your brain. I say that like this because I hate that. Pick your brain. God. But I get the sense that that's what this person wants to do. That's what they're trying to do. It's like they're trying to get something from you for free. And in turn, like it's going to leave you drained, broke, or just empty. Okay. So be mindful of someone. I get the sense that if this resonates with you, you know exactly who I'm talking about. Okay. And then finally, last but certainly not least, we've got Pisces. So let's see what we've got for Pisces for this week. Okay. Oops. Okay, Pisces. Like you may feel like the floor is coming out from under you, like almost like the rug is being pulled out from under. Like you're doing something and then you just like trip, right? Has that ever happened to you where you're just walking and like your knees just give out or your ankles just give out and you just fall? Like that's the energy I'm getting right now. Like, but that's I want to say that's your perception. I'm not necessarily sure if that's the reality, but it's like feeling like the rug is being pulled out from under you. Okay, so this could have to do with money. So this is the Goddess of Pentacles, which is the Queen of Pentacles. I feel like when it comes to a financial situation, you feel like the rug is being pulled out from under you. But guess what? I feel like it's actually a good thing. So I guess the spirit was trying to surprise me or like catch me off guard because I think that something good is coming to you with respect to money. So it could be unexpected money. It could be a financial situation that suddenly turns in your favor. It could just be money kind of coming out of nowhere, an approval notice. Money comes through, money that you're owed comes back to you, but it's very surprising. It's almost like you kind of question it, right? Like someone that you lent money to like 8 years ago, they come up to you and be like, yo, remember that like $200 I borrowed from you in 1976? Here it is. And you're just like, what? Like, are you really giving this to me? Like, is this for real? Like, I see you really like questioning yourself. I think that's why I saw like your perception of it may be skewed because you're like, is this really for me? Is this really happening? Spirit is like, don't second guess it. Don't overthink it. Don't try to, you know how sometimes you guys like really try to emotionalize things? Like, so what does this really mean? Or is this, emblematic of something? Spirit is like, please just take the money and say thank you. Thank the person, thank us, thank God, but don't look too much into it. Take the money, be thankful, and let that be that. All right, my loves. So that concludes this week's edition of the weekly astro forecast. I sincerely hope that you were able to get at least one important, whether even if it's minuscule, one important piece of information that you can use going into this week. All right. So if you would like to book a personal reading with me, or if you'd like to order a natal chart or progress natal chart report or any of the other astrology reports that I've got, check out my site. The link to those will be in the description box below. Thank you so much for joining me. And I will see you in my next live. All right. Thank you so much. Have an amazing week, and I'll see you next time.